Welcome to Soccer in 60, presented by the Empire Strykers. Get ready for your weekly look at all the pro soccer teams in Greater Los Angeles. We've got all the news and analysis you need, from LAFC and the LA Galaxy to the Empire Strykers, Angel City FC, and Orange County Soccer Club. Now, buckle up and enjoy Soccer in 60. Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday and welcome back to another edition of Soccer in 60, your weekly look at the major pro soccer teams in the greater Los Angeles area. But you already knew that because it was my voice in the intro that said that. But I had to remind you just in case you weren't paying attention. My name is Christian Philemon, better known as Philly. Joining me, the Mountie of Orange County, Tim Kolutz.
Hey, thanks, Philly. How are you, my friend?
Good, man. It's been a whirlwind of a week. I mean, with the fires, the anxieties, the stress. But hopefully, once again, we can continue to offer everybody a much-needed distraction from these things, Tim. Like, our hearts go out to each and every one of you that, once again, lost something. And it kills me. It still kills me. I'm still thinking about it, and it stresses me out. But shout out to the first responders, the firefighters that came in locally, the firefighters that came in globally, and everybody that has volunteered their time and donated their resources. Tim, great show today. We will be talking a lot about the Empire Strykers as the season really is in full bloom. We finally nailed down Justin Stinson of the Empire Strykers on the show. And, of course, we got plenty to talk about. LAFC, Galaxy, ACFC, and Orange County. So
absolutely.
So with that said, buddy, should we buckle up?
Just one last thing, man. I'm encouraged about the love that the city of Los Angeles is doing. Just the outpouring has been amazing. Places that I like to enjoy a meal and enjoy a beverage or five, really have taken care of the city of Los Angeles, and I love it. Even the guys at the 7-Eleven this morning were happy and schmappy and laughing and giggling with me, and I had no idea who these guys are. But as you said, man, let's get into it. We've got an incredible show for everybody today. Let's hop on over to LAFC, buddy. What's going on with these guys?
We have to pay the bills. We have to pay the bills. That being the case, Omnitrans, baby. Heading to the game, hop aboard Omnitrans for a seamless journey to Toyota Arena. Simply download the Transit app to catch your bus and enjoy a stress-free trip to cheer on the Strykers. Now that the bills have been paid, Tim, we could get into LAFC. More subtractions, but at least this time we have a few additions.
We do have a couple of additions. We've got Odin Thiago is coming on loan from Scottish Premier League side Celtic through 2025. That's got to be a good one for LAFC, don't you think, Billy?
Yes, but I mean, even before we get into him, because there's still plenty to talk about, got to acknowledge the subtraction first. He was a guest on the pod, so we want to obviously give a big shout out to Eric Dueñas. Gone as a young player that we really got to see grow up. Eric Dueñas, LA born and bred, my man, but now he's going down to the Houston Dynamo. But it's crazy because he's been a part of this club since 2016. And I'm sure you're thinking to yourself, well, didn't LAFC play their first game in 2018? Yeah, but he was part of this club within the academy system as a 12-year-old. He came up through that academy, made it to the senior team. Heck, I still even remember when he came up to play against Peñarol in that preseason friendly in 2019. He then spent a couple of seasons back and forth with the Las Vegas Lights, LAFC 2, and the first team. 48 total matches for LAFC. 14 matches, 3 goals, 4 assists with LAFC 2, 17 games for the Las Vegas Lights, and this is all before he's 21 years of age. Tim, his heart is LAFC. He grew up at LAFC. If you go to the social media, you get to see him when he was a child. And the fact that he came up professionally, incredible. It was him, Tony Leone, the original Academy boys. And Leone and Torres, they're down in Liga MX. So Leone with Monterrey and Torres, I think, with Chivas. But Dueñas remains in Major League Soccer. It's crazy to have seen him develop. And again, let's not forget he was a guest on our pod.
Yeah, and he was great. And seeing him grow up in the piece that LAFC put together on him is really, truly incredible. You can just feel the love that he has for the LAFC, for the academy, for the entire organization. And his heart's here. His heart's here at LAFC. It's just sometimes these things happen. As a homegrown player for 4 years with LAFC, it's it was fun to watch him grow up here. You watched him extensively. You've interviewed him here on the show with me, and it was great to watch him grow and pull into the man he's become. And to see him as a child being 10, 8 years old was just incredible on that video reel that the team put together.
Yeah, representing the El Monte. I mean, he's LA through and through. Wish him all the best. Hope he gets plenty of playing time. It's amazing how much output he's had on the pitch. And all things considered, I mean, he's going to turn 21 next October. He's not even old enough to legally drink. And heck, he was 16 and change, I think, when he made his first cap. I'd have to go back and check that. But it's amazing stuff. We wish Eric Dueñas all the best. He'll always get a welcome from us. He'll get a big round of applause when Houston comes in to LA, which we know they will on at least on one occasion. So it'll be nice to welcome him back. Got himself a ring here. Just, oh man, just seeing these players just come and go. That's the thing. Players will come and go, but this one just hits a little bit harder due to the fact that, well, again, he came up as a child through the system.
Yeah, this one's a little tougher to process, but at the end, you just said it a minute ago. The fact that he will probably get a lot more playing time with Houston, with the Dynamo, is probably one of the key reasons why he was going there. And they signed a 3-year deal, so it's a great gig for him. He's going to be there for a good long time. But I can guarantee you, when he makes his reappearance at BMO Stadium, there will not be a single person in the entire stands that are sitting on their hands. Everybody will be on their feet, screaming and yelling, clapping and cheering for him. Just a great dude.
100%. Nice young man, very well mannered, very well spoken. And yeah, go back a couple episodes if you haven't checked out the interview with Eric Dueñas, one of several LAFC players that we got to interview over the course of the season, and certainly looking forward to interviewing some new players moving forward. And speaking of new players, you already alluded to him, Odin Thiago Holm from Trondheim, Norway. Now, here's something that I had to address right away, Tim. Where does the name Thiago fit in the grand scheme of a Norwegian? I thought it was a bit interesting, but there is some information there. In 2017, he was granted an application to the Norwegian resident registration to take on the name Thiago as his middle name. And the reason he did that is because his role model growing up, Thiago Alcantara, the Spanish midfielder, the Brazilian midfielder. I'm sorry. I'm getting confused here, thinking he's Italian, Brazilian parents, but Thiago, a big player, man. I mean, played at Bayern Munich. Obviously, I remember him there. Played at Liverpool. Played for Spain's national team for quite some time. So that's the reason for the name Thiago. In case any of y'all are wondering how a Norwegian would get that type of a name.
Well, I like the fact too that we were talking about Eric not turning 21 until October. Thiago only turns, or Odin, however we want to, let's just call him Thiago.
No, we're calling him Odin. There's one Thiago, and he played at Bayern Munich.
All right. We've got Odin coming in. So Odin doesn't turn 22 until Saturday. So again, he's another young player. And if you watch him play in this midfield, he's an attacking midfielder. But if you watch him play, some of the passes that he can do, I'm just thinking, Philly, that maybe, just maybe, this could be somebody that could pass that ball into Giroud like he's going to need.
I mean, there isn't a lot of footage on him from this season. I really did think he fell out of favor with the training staff at Celtic. I mean, he had a situation in which he caught a red card playing in Europe. I know that was really something that the technical staff wasn't too thrilled about. And so we'll see how he holds up here at LAFC. Again, he's coming on loan, but the fact that he managed to make it to a team as big as Celtic is interesting. And there are ties to LAFC. LAFC's sporting director, Neil McGuinness, had some time at Celtic. So I'm sure between those connections and wanting to establish that handshake agreement, that leverage, that deal with Celtic, that this is one of those deals that can come through. Now, as a midfielder, in particular, a central one, This is something that LAFC absolutely needs. We've had a lot of departures, so we're going to have some additions. This is going to be good. Potentially as a starting piece, a depth piece. I don't know, because Lewis O'Brien, they still haven't figured out that deal yet, but we'll see. With LAFC's games coming up in the CONCACAF Champions Cup against the Colorado Rapids, we're going to see and hear about a lot more LAFC signings upcoming. I mean, it has to be that case because, well, we need the dudes, as they say in the movie Animal House.
Absolutely. I was just going to say, your name is Flounder, not Philly.
Why? Why not?
Yep. So, and with that, we had talked about Eric Duenas being part of the academy. There was some news coming out late last night that academy director for LAFC, Todd Saldana, and the club have parted ways. Now, there's not a whole lot of information about this. It was a quick presser last night. But the fact that, Saldana is a native Southern California. He was the first academy director in club history in 2016, as you alluded to earlier. And he had a lead role in overseeing the technical and developmental aspects of the entire academy players and staff. So this is a big change coming in just before the season.
Yeah, of course. And we'll see how that pans out. Obviously, Saldana's been around for a little while. I mean, we're running out of time with the LAFC segment. I just want to address a couple of things. The player, and this is going to be a nice seamless transition in just a second, but there's rumors about Matty Bogusz possibly going to Cruz Azul. I do want to address the fact that Tom Bogert tweeted that he wasn't in training because LAFC just had training camp recently because he was granted the exception. He will be back tomorrow. Actually, he's already back in training. So I wanted to make sure we address that. Could be gone by the winter, though. That's to be determined, but that is a rumor that does have some substance to it. And while we transition, the player that the Galaxy thought they were going to get, the player that even Kevin Baxter referenced, was Igor Jesus, the Brazilian coming in from the Brazilian league. Turns out that it wasn't the Galaxy that he was potentially going to be signing for. It's LAFC. So clearly some journo down in South America mucked that one up. But with that being the case, let's move on over to the Galaxy.
Yeah, and as we mentioned a couple of weeks ago on the show, Matthias Jorgensen, codenamed Zanka, is coming to the Galaxy. Announced yesterday he's on a 2-year deal, and he comes with the help of a lot of GAM money, it looks like, and also that 2025 international roster spot that the Galaxy got in that Jalen Neal trade. And that was just a week or so ago. So I think that's really where a lot of this general allocation money, and especially that international roster spot, came to put this deal together. We had just talked about it a week, maybe 2 weeks ago, and this thing came together pretty quickly. And this is a pretty good gig for the LA Galaxy. He's 34. He's actually made over 500 appearances between multiple different leagues in Denmark, Turkey, England, and our producer Gunner's favorite country, Germany. And it's not that he can't hold a job with all those different teams and leagues. It's just that he's a very sought after player. And if you watch this guy play, he's coming over from the Belgian Pro League, RSC Anderlecht right now. And he is a stud. He's going to come over. He's going to make a very big difference on the LA Galaxy team. And this really spells the end for a couple of unsigned players, Philly, from this past season that the Galaxy were still trying to maybe bring back on board, as he is a very strong defender.
Yeah, Zanka's got a world of experience, also capped 37 times with the Danish national team. He even scored a goal during the round of 16 at the 2018 FIFA World Cup. So plenty of tape out on him, but still want to be very wary of a 34-year-old center back. I know we've had this conversation, and our guest on the show, John Nelson, kind of dispelled the fact that the Galaxy didn't have too much trouble in the defensive role, but don't you want to get a little younger rather than older in that position? I don't know. I'm trying to play devil's advocate here. I trust Will Kuntz based on his track record and what he sees, but how he's going to factor into Major League Soccer, I don't know. But one thing's for sure, he is a bruiser. No question about that. He's not a skinny, brittle center back. This guy is built out of stone, and he has a whirlwind of experience. And I mean, he's been successful in the Danish league, a 5-time champion there, Danish Cup champion, played for Huddersfield Town and Brentford for whatever that's worth to you, Fortuna Dusseldorf, PSV Eindhoven in the Eredivisie, and one of the biggest clubs in Turkey as well, Fenerbahce. So he's got a great track record and a lot of really big clubs to his resume.
Yeah, and he's a little taller guy too, right? At 6'2", listed at $175, but if you look at the guy in his pictures, he looks a little bigger than $175.
Definitely. That's why I said built out of stone.
Right. And so he's going to be ripped, and he's somebody that can compete with some of the taller strikers in the rest of Major League Soccer. He's not going to have to compete with somebody that's 5'6", 5'7", trying to go up for headers on that. That's the guy going to be passing the ball into the box. But when you have somebody that's 6'2", he can defend that in front of Johnny Mack. And so Johnny Mack's going to have a bigger guy on that defense that he has not had in a while.
I think if he were to hear you talk right now, Tim, by he, I mean Matthias Jorgensen, he would be a little upset with you because technically he's 6'3". That would be 1.91 in meters. So you can't take away an inch, my man, especially in a game that's played with a matter of inches.
Absolutely not. So I'm sorry, Zanka. I will take that 1.91 and redo my metric to English units, and I will give you that 6'3". So again, like you said, 6'3" at $175, that'd be a little skinny dude. So he is definitely not 175. Maybe I did the math wrong, and he's actually about 6 stones. So or 9 stones, and so he could be 195. And
we're going to be talking about stones. I'd have to ask our producer Christian here. He knows a little something about stones. But we talked about how Thiago got his nickname, right?
Yeah.
Do you know how Jorgensen got the name Zanka or where it came from?
No, please do.
Actually received his nickname from the film Cool Runnings. There was a character named Sanka on there. The nickname was coined by Johan Lang in 2000 while both Lang and Jorgensen were playing together professionally in Copenhagen. So that's where the name came from, just in case anybody was wondering. Not because he has an affinity for tea and coffee and things of that nature, which reminds me, I got a dad joke for you. What was the most frequently consumed drink beverage on the Titanic?
Do tell.
Sanka. There you go. There's a dad joke for you, if I've ever said one myself. But anyway, that's how he got the nickname. So had to address why a Norwegian's called Thiago. Had to address why Jorgensen's nickname is Sanka. So the movie Cool Runnings, Jamaica, we have a bobsled team. Anyway, I digress.
That's fantastic. I love stories like that because it gives you a lot more insight to these guys and about the type of camaraderie that they are building with their teammates and things like that. So to have somebody be Sanka, fantastic. I love it, Philly.
Yeah, you know where I got that information from?
No, where?
Wikipedia. And I got another one for you, Tim. On this day, January 15, 2001, Wikipedia officially goes online for the first time. So there, I got a lot of awesome connections for you. We're going around in circles because obviously the Jorgensen signings was the biggest thing to go on as far as Galaxy news is concerned. But one other item I did want to address, though, the collaboration between all the teams in Los Angeles, the Galaxy, Angel City, lost LAFC, obviously, Rams, so on and so forth. They had a combined donation of more than $8 million to help those impacted by the recent wildfires in Los Angeles. So that was pretty cool. Obviously, this is a time for the city to unite. You mentioned that earlier. That's been one of the brighter spots of things. It sucks that we have to have a tragic scenario like this to get a city like LA to unite, but nevertheless, that's the case. And then there's another scenario that's going to be going on Friday, January the 17th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., where all these teams that we just mentioned, what they're going to end up doing is they're going to be donating several fanatics. I mean, there's going to be a lot of donations going on. I'm trying to get the information for you as I'm talking about this, but this is a time for all of us to really unite together and to support those that are out there. Yeah, they joined forces with Fanatics and the Fanatics Foundation to distribute $3 million worth of Fanatics merchandise to Angelenos who have been evacuated from their homes. So it's just something to pay note. It's going to take place at BMO Stadium. The address, BMO Stadium, and that's going to be on Friday, January the 17th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So Galaxy, LAFC working together along with Angel City to help those affected by the wildfires.
Yeah, and we've got one coming up this weekend at Dignity Sports Health Park as well, the 13th and 14th. And the Galaxy are going to be needing everything: water, hygiene products like soap and toothpaste, feminine hygiene products, and then, major staples like cereal and baby formula, things like that. And it's 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. both days. So go out if you got a few extra things in your cabinet, or you can afford to go and spend a few bucks and put some things together. I think it'd be great to show your support for the city, show you that that between the Galaxy and all the Los Angeles clubs and LAFC, it really truly is for the name on the front of the jersey. It is for Los Angeles. So be mindful when you're driving around Dignity Sports Health Park. There is construction going on because they are doing some major upgrades to Dignity Health Sports Park. They're upgrading a lot. They're going to do the upgrades in 3 phases, but they have a lot going on at Dignity Health Sports Park. But come on down, 9 to 4 p.m. both days this weekend. Drop off whatever you can. They'll even take cash donations, but they really are looking for a lot of these staple items so they can donate them right away.
Absolutely. And with that being the case, let's move on over to the next team that we cover. But before we do that, once again, yeah, exactly. You gotta pay the bills. Soccer in 60 is brought to you by National Core, one of the nation's largest nonprofit affordable housing developers and a proud sponsor of your MASL team, the Empire Strykers. At National Core, they believe that soccer has the power to transform lives just like they do. They believe in building strong communities on and off the field. To learn more about National Core and their mission, go to nationalcore.org. Now, speaking of the Empire Strykers, let's move on to that. We did an interview with Justin Stinson, the star midfielder of the Empire Strykers. So let's go to that real quick before we start talking about the Empire's last few games and the upcoming one they have against St. Louis. All right, we're back with another awesome interview on Soccer in 60, and this is what I am truly excited for. A good reason being because I've been hunting this man down for years to get him on a pod, and finally, we have him. Our guest today is one of the biggest stars of the Major Arena Soccer League and a midfielder with the Empire Strykers. Coming out of a breakout campaign with Empire and alone with Tacoma, he seems determined to make this season his best one yet, and he's been on fire for the Strykers through 9 games. After bagging a hat trick and 2 assists in Monday's huge home win against St. Louis, he now ranks 7th in the league in points, tied for 8th in goals, and tied for 10th in assists. He is one of the most electrifying attackers in the indoor game, a St. Louis native, a 2025 All-Star, and a man who has been called up to the U.S. futsal national team and has represented the U.S. in mini-football World Cup. They call him the Stinger. I gave him that name. Whether he likes it or not, I don't know. But welcome to Soccer in 60, Justin Stinson.
What's up, Philly? I appreciate you having me. What's up, Tim? How are you doing?
Doing great this evening, Justin. Thanks again for coming on.
Thank you, Philly. What a welcome you did. Thank you.
I've been storing this intro for years, Justin, and finally we have it. But before we dive into present day, let's briefly go back to last season. With Empire out of playoff contention, you went on loan at Tacoma with the idea being that you can benefit as a player from being in some high-intensity games, especially in the postseason. You did incredibly well while with the Stars, putting up 12 goals, 4 assists in 8 games. So I'm curious, what was your experience like up there, and how do you feel it impacted your game?
Yeah, so I was loaned out to Seattle last year, Tacoma. Playing with Nick, Stefan, me and him roomed together. It was a really good experience. Nick is a mastermind. He's an amazing player, but I didn't know how good he was as a coach. He really is a true professional, and honestly, my time in Tacoma was very pleasant. and I enjoyed it. I learned a lot from Nick.
You had a phenomenal season. I mean, he is a mad scientist, a chemist, a true genius on the pitch and off the pitch. And by Nick, folks, for those listening, we're talking about Nick Pereira, who plays for the Tacoma Stars and also represents the United States national beach soccer team as the captain. Now, we're talking about Tacoma, but let's move on to here and now and a warmer place than that of Southern California. This current campaign, obviously, a lot of changes during the offseason, such as bringing back a number of past Strykers standouts, as well as bringing in a young, talented, but largely unproven head coach in that of Onu Obasi. 9 games in, you guys have already won more games this season than you did all of last year. At the same time, though, I think it's fair to say that there have been some growing pains. What's your new take on the coach, on his approach, and how the team is responding to it so far?
Yeah, Obasi. I think you were in my interview about, I think it was 3 days ago. Obasi, for me, he used to be my roommate. We used to watch tons of film together. So him being my coach, it's kind of like it's a warm feeling. Obasi's tactics for me at the start were, it wasn't so much my game, but growing into the season and kind of knowing exactly what he wants from me, it's kind of been making things easier for me. And as a team overall, it's such a relief we're winning some games this year.
That's awesome. I love the fact that he makes you all warm and fuzzy. That's pretty cool, Justin. As we said in the intro, you're from St. Louis. My mom's from St. Louis too, so cool. In fact, she's out in Manchester, about a half hour west of the city. So pretty cool.
Yeah, I grew up in St. Charles.
Oh, rad. That's cool. Yeah, right around the corner. In fact, we're talking about St. Louis. You started your career with the St. Louis Ambush. I'm sure you've always got a little special occasion when you play against your old team. And we mentioned that you absolutely crushed them in Monday's win over the Ambush. But after the final whistle, you said something peculiar. It was that you weren't thrilled with the overall performance, and you were even a little critical of yourself. Kind of hard after a 5-point night, but can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, so, wow, you guys remember everything I say.
Hey, we're on top of it, buddy.
Yeah. So what I was trying to say is Obasi has a specific plan every game, how he wants to play, and very detail-oriented. I felt like, me personally, I could have gave away like 2 goals. I had someone subbed, they hit off the post. That could have changed the game. It could have been 5-4, 5-3. Another one just kind of forcing passes. But yeah, just his new system, it's tough, but everyone's getting used to it. It's a brand new system. No one's ever done this in the whole entire league. So getting used to this, it's tough. But like I said, everyone's just getting used to it.
Well, I think it's fun watching you guys with the new system, but
does it make you feel warm and fuzzy? No, just kidding.
So, but the rematch with St. Louis is this Saturday, and let's address the king-sized elephant in the room. And for those who don't get that reference, there's an indoor legend who used to be on the Striker and is now, or should we say was, on the Ambush. His name is Frank Teu, and he's commonly called the King. News broke yesterday that he had left the team after the loss to Empire and was subsequently suspended. We won't ask if you've heard from anyone on St. Louis about that, but we'd like to know what you and your teammates have reactions to that news, and whether it changes your approach to the game at all.
Yeah, I mean, of course, Frank not playing, that's huge for us. For me, he's one of the best in the league, one of the best goal scorers. So having him not playing, yeah, that helps, but doesn't really change the way we're gonna play or how we're gonna approach the game.
Now, I want to quickly jump back with you, Justin, in September of 2024. Not that long ago, actually. You and Marco Fabian formed one of the most feared attacking duos across the MASL. But back in September, you actually played against each other as part of that USA-Mexico indoor game that took place in Ontario. What was it like playing against Marco instead of having him on your team?
Yeah, I was going to try to mark him, but I didn't get a chance to. But Yeah, Marco, like you guys know, he's a master of the game, and when I'm playing with him or when I'm playing against him, it's always the same. I have a lot of respect for him.
Now, while we're on the subject of representing your country, Justin, I mentioned in the intro that you've been called up to the U.S. soccer futsal national team and also helped the U.S. to the knockout rounds of the 2023 Mini Football World Cup, which features some of the best small-sided players in the world. I'm wondering, where do those accomplishments rank in terms of your career highlights so far? Like, can you talk a little bit to us about the experience of wearing the red, white, and blue?
Yeah, so I've done 3 camps now with the U.S. futsal team. Thought I was gonna get called up to the Argentina trip, and unfortunately I wasn't. But yeah, hopefully I'm called up to the next camp. Always representing the red, white, and blue is amazing. You play with all the all stars in the league, and of course Everton was the coach when I came to camp, and playing with him, it's always a pleasure because for me, he's one of my best coaches I've ever had.
Yeah, for those watching, Justin, I don't know if you see this. We hear you loud and clear. You're frozen, although it did get frozen in a flattering way. You still look as good as always, my friend. So fear not about that. But we bring up the fact that you're from St. Louis, but you've been in Southern California and with Empire now for over 5 years. Our producer Gunnar tells us that when he called you during this last offseason, he caught you at a Cardinals baseball game. That got us thinking. Are you still a St. Louis sports fan through and through, or have you adopted any of the teams in greater Los Angeles?
Oh my gosh, that's not even a question. St. Louis Blues are my favorite team. Cardinals will always be my favorite team. Albert Pujols, I grew up watching him. But the cool thing about LA is I get to watch LeBron, and it's pretty cool. So I would say I'm kind of like a bandwagon fan a little bit.
That's great. I love it, man. You gotta watch the Blues, man. The Golden Brett. Come on, nothing like Brett Hull sitting in the left face-off dot, scoring 500 goals for the Blues.
Yeah, I don't really like the LA Rams though. They were St. Louis Rams. They were terrible, and then they come here and they win a Super Bowl. So I really can't like them.
In all fairness, Justin, they did win you a Super Bowl in 1999. Greatest show on turf. But I don't even know if you were born then.
No, I was born. I was young.
So a more general question. You seem to be really enjoying connecting with Southern California and the local community. Would you say it feels like a second home at this point? Or will St. Louis always be number one in your heart?
I have family that are in St. Louis, and of course, that's where I grew up, and that's home for me. But I've been out here for 5 years now, and my son's out here. I have a family out here, so I like to say this is my home, and as long as I hope nothing changes. Philly, Philly, there you go.
You got to represent the Blues, Philly.
Who's on the back of that?
Oh, you're on ignore, Philly. You're on mute, buddy.
Of course, I wasn't trying to click clank around my room. So Justin said his favorite team was the Blues. I think the St. Louis Blues have the coolest logo in all of sports in hockey. I was there a couple years ago, caught a game, had to cop a Blues jersey. So when you said that, just had to make the Stinger smile a little bit, hence why I put on the jersey.
Who's on the back of that?
Oh, we got Tarasenko on the back of it.
The legend.
Yeah, so
a legend.
had to throw that out there. Just it was fun.
It's a good jersey, Philly. I like that one too, man.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So, all right, hey, go ahead, Philly.
So look, you signed with MASL Club St. Louis Ambush right out of college. Since I'm wearing the St. Louis Blues jersey, we might as well talk a little bit about that. Did you immediately feel that indoor soccer was a great fit for you? Or is there something about your specific skill set that's especially useful for such a fast-paced game with so little room to operate?
Yeah, so growing up, I was always playing 11v11. My small-sided, I really didn't do much small-sided, but I was always good with my feet. So I was actually playing pickup soccer in St. Louis on a Tuesday night. And funny story, I was wearing white Vans. I wasn't even wearing turf soccer shoes. And I played against a whole bunch of the ambush guys. and I was scoring a lot of goals, and randomly Everton came to one of those practices, one of those games, and he said, "You should come out to practice tomorrow." And I came out to practice. He signed me the next day. So for me, I never thought I was going to be playing indoor, but the way my game is, it suits me perfect.
Justin, we certainly appreciate the time today. Again, I've been trying to hunt you down for a number of years to get you on a pod. I'm happy that we finally nailed you down, although it wasn't me. It was our producer, Gunner. But, I just want to say congratulations on the season that you've had thus far. It truly has been inspiring. You're operating on a level that I've seen this before, but you look more locked in than I feel like I've ever seen you. So keep up the good work. Good luck against the ambush. I know you're going back to St. Charles, so I know Jerry Stinson's going to be very excited to see you. All the best to you. Good luck the rest of the season. God bless, and heck, I'll see you Monday against the Sockers.
For sure. I appreciate it, Philly. Thank you, Tim.
Dig it, Justin. Thanks for coming on, buddy.
See you guys. Thank you.
Tim, do you have any idea how long and how many times I've tried to get Justin Stinson on Striking Fury? It's forever. But all it took was the charm of our producer, Gunnar Burns. And then all of a sudden, he hops onto soccer in 60. So certainly appreciate his time. We do apologize for the technical difficulties that took place there. But we were able to hear Justin. And, he's having a fine season. And Strykers already surpassed their win total, barely a third of the way into the season. They have more wins now than they did all of last year.
Yeah, and Justin's been a big part of that. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago that he's got feet on fire, and no pun intended, but he's lighting the lamp for the Empire Strykers this season, and it's great to see. He's had he's been with the club for 5 years. He was on that loan to Tacoma where he lit the lamp all of last postseason as well. It's great to have Justin back in a Empire Strykers jersey.
He loves Southern California. He definitely has his roots here. He's planted some trees here, just to say that much. But Justin had a fantastic game just recently against his former club, the St. Louis Ambush. Had himself a hat trick. And 2 assists, 5 points. Strykers had a very competitive game, and it was interesting because you had Frank Tayu coming back for the first time under the lights of Toyota Arena, the first time since he wore a Strykers uniform. He played last season with Utica City, did not come out to Empire, so it was interesting. Frank did end up scoring, but, there was a huge moment and a turnaround moment. Brandon Gomez with the stop when Frank had a one-on-one with him in a shootout. Gomez really helped save the day, had arguably his best performance of the year. He came up so clutch.
Yeah, it was incredible. And just to watch what the team is doing this season, you mentioned it, they've already surpassed their win total from last season. And Coach Obasi has really got these guys on this new track, on this new system. Justin mentioned it, that it's a much more difficult system to play with your goalkeeper basically being a sixth attacker the entire game. And to have them really getting this put together, the game against the Comets, they were up on that game big. And then, they kind of pulled the last year and gave up 6 straight goals. But to be able to come back in the game on Monday and have Justin pull out a hat trick and a couple of helpers, it really makes the season look very, very bright going forward, Philly.
Yeah, it was a tough road trip for the Strykers. They lost to Kansas City. That was a game in which they really imploded in the second and third quarter. No question about that. Needing to play a complete game. To be fair, several players that normally start did not play in that game because they had to deal with load management. A term that, by the way, I haven't really become familiar with until Greg Popovich, head coach of the San Antonio Spurs, brought that into our mindset. But then the game against Dallas was a heartbreaker. The Strykers led the entire time up until the game winner by Dallas. And so how they would react coming back to Toyota Arena was huge. I don't want to say a make or break situation, but certainly it was one that they made. They got another win at home. This is incredible. And not only did Justin have a good game, also wanted to highlight the fact that Ciro Oliveira scored his first goal as a member of the Empire Strykers. So congratulations to him. That was super cool. George De Leon managed to find himself in the back of the net. Abdul Mansoure had one of the first only self-Wallace scores that I've ever seen. For those wondering what a Wallace score is, it's basically when you bang the ball off of the wall and utilize it as a one-timer, if you will. In the case of Abdul Mansour, he hit it off the plexi, probably intending it for it to be a pass, and somehow it got past St. Louis ambush goalkeeper Paulo Nascimento. So he played a great game, and they get to run it back against St. Louis at the Family Arena in St. Charles, Missouri, this weekend, St. Charles being the hometown of Justin Stinson. So he's going to get to go back and see family. So that'll be interesting. This saga that we're hearing with Frank Tayu being suspended is wild. Interesting to see how that comes through. But I think that's the last that we'll see of Frank Tayu in an ambush uniform. I don't know. Cooler heads can prevail. But after that, Tim, San Diego comes back into the building. I can't say back because they haven't been in this season, but that'll be a true test to see how competitive the Strykers team is going to be. The Sockers, of course, played the Kansas City Comets on Wednesday, and Comets gave them a run for their money. But anytime the Sockers and the Strykers compete against one another, it's always high entertainment.
Yeah, and the fact that the Strykers shut out the Sockers in their last matchup down in San Diego.
Shut them out the second half.
The second half. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. The second half, the last two quarters, is a testament to the new system that Obasi is running, that Coach Obasi is running. Yeah. I think it's very, very good.
Tickets are available. Make sure you go to the Empire Strykers, strikerswithany.com, and get tickets. Let's pack that building. Come on, people. It is cheaper to take a family of four to the Empire Strykers than it is to the freaking movies. You have the best professional indoor soccer players in the world playing in that. Let's see it at Toyota Arena.
Absolutely. Get there early. Enjoy yourself. Take Omnitrans.
There you go. That seamless plug. I love it.
Absolutely.
All right.
With now, where are we going, Philly? What are we doing?
We're going to go to Angel City. And you know what that means, Tim? It's not just going to be me and you. We're bringing on Nina Kiefer, the co-host of the Angel City Chicks podcast. Nina Kiefer, fresh off of a flight from New York City, looking rather spry, giving us that Irish tan that she got in New York. Nina, welcome back, buddy.
Thanks, guys. It's great to be here with you. And, Angel City actually has some news for us to talk about. So
shut the front door. Really?
I know. And I'll get to it because, Christian, it's going to address your rant in a little bit. But first, I do want to mention the fact that the captain of Angel City, Allie Riley, who we've talked about numerous times, we know we spoke last week, and unfortunately her parents' home, her childhood home, did burn down. But that did not stop her. Allie Riley went and tied the knot. She and her family found a way to put all the devastation in LA aside, and she was able to get married to the love of her life. So super exciting news there on the personal front for her. And then, you talked about the wildfires and everything in Los Angeles. One really, really cool email I got from Angel City today. Payment relief for season ticket holders. So if you're a season ticket holder that owes monthly payments and you've been affected by the wildfires, Angel City is saying, don't worry about us. We'll wait. We got you. Take your time. So they actually sent out a whole email to all their season ticket holders saying not to worry. If you're affected by the wildfires, they're not going to hunt you down for your season ticket payment. And I just really love that they're putting the people first.
I love that. Now, if only Penny Mac could do that and give me some help with the mortgage, I'd be totally down with that too.
I can imagine. All right. Now, I want to get into the big news of the week. Angel City made a huge announcement in the hiring of Mark Parsons as the new sporting director. And we're going to dive fully into this. But before we do, I want to tell you a little bit about Parsons' background and history. So he's going to be overseeing all soccer operations, including technical staff, scouting, analytics, sports, medical performance, nutrition, player care. He's reporting directly to President Julie Ehrman. So what that means is Julie's not going anywhere, first of all, in my mind. And second of all, that we got some talent coming in the building. He actually started his NWSL career with the Washington Spirit. He was there for 2 years as the head coach and sporting director. And then y'all remember back when the Portland Thorns were the greatest thing since sliced bread? They won 6 trophies, 2 NWSL shields, NWSL championship, all the fun things. Yeah, that was him. He was the coach then. So turns out he's really good at coaching, but he wasn't hired as the coach. So that said, he was able to bring in all of the big name players, your Sophia Smith, your Sam Coffey, Lindsay Horan, Emily Sonnet, literally everyone who ended up leaving towards the end after he left. So what happened was in 2021, he left Portland Thorns to go become the head coach for the Netherlands women's national team. And he was there and he took them to the quarterfinals of the 2022 UEFA Women's Championship. After that, he came home, and in 2023, he worked for Washington Spirit. And here's where it gets a little dicey. He's actually fired from the Spirit, but the Spirit were known to fire their coaches pretty easily. So Spirit had gone through 3 coaches in 3 years, and he got the axe for not making it to playoffs. I don't think Angel City are going to do that. I think they're in it for the long haul with Parsons. But, I think there's been a little drama on Twitter and in the socials regarding this. And one thing I want to point out is this is a qualified candidate.
Yeah, for sure. Right, Nina?
I'm seeing a lot of people saying very negative things like, oh, some men just fall upward, or, oh, can't believe it. Yes, he is a white man. He is from England. And I know it kind of goes against what Angel City stands for, but let's remember DEI.
Angel City doesn't like white men. What do you mean?
DEI and equity aren't about not hiring the most qualified candidate. They're about knowing and combating the belief that white males are innately qualified while women and persons of color are not. So hiring a white man does not disqualify anyone else in this instance. And he's got a banging resume. So I'm excited for this. I did a deep dive on the guy, and the only thing that I can find as far as dirt on him is he was suspended and fined for 2 matches. He was suspended because he had an interaction with the officials that was against policy. It was kind of undisclosed. There was a suspension, but
do you think the reason why there's some polarizing opinions on this is just simply because he was tied to the Portland Thorns, who obviously had a series of misconduct going on within the franchise for some time? I think maybe that
was also prior to him. And he said when he took that job, he knew there were investigations, but he was not involved and he was not privy to any of the information, and they kept him out of it. So when he came into Portland Thorns, there were already investigations going on. They had already started those inquiries. And yes, it was a bad time, but then he was able to turn it around for them and help them to become this amazing franchise. I mean, you and I were there, Philly, back in Portland Thorns when they were blowing the place up, when it was packed and they were doing great things. So I'm actually really excited for this, but I want to get into the rant real quick because we're going to run out of time here. And in this case, your rant, Philly, from last week, he addresses you directly, and I'm going to direct quote Mr. Parsons here. He says, "Where we stand on head coach right now is this, Angel City. This is Los Angeles. This is a team that when we are successful, the world will be watching, and we will be taking that responsibility seriously and finding a candidate that can lead this talented group to a place that we want to get to. So we're not going to rush. It's about getting the best and right person. While I'm sure everyone would love for that to be tomorrow, it's going to take a bit longer than we'd all love. We're going to be prepared to do that while making sure we have the high performance in place to help players prepare and compete in the preseason and the beginning of the season." So what that tells me is the search is just beginning. Sorry, Philly.
No, all good. I did want to piggyback real quick. I know we're running out of time. I did want to piggyback off of something that you had mentioned earlier when you hopped on, and that's the greatest thing since sliced bread. That saying led me to think we're discovering things. We're doing deep dives, as we did with Odin, as we did with Sanka. Apparently, this was a term utilized in the Northern Whig, I guess a periodical out of Belfast, Ireland. On Thursday, the 8th March of 1951, there was an American journalist by the name of Dorothy Kilgoggan writing, and there was a reference to this person's the greatest thing since sliced bread. So when you say that, gets me to think, where did that come from? Well, it came from the Northern Whig, Belfast, Ireland, by an American journalist. So there you go.
Random facts with Philly. Thank you for sprinkling that on us. So overall, my take, Parsons qualified. I found maybe he played a player while they were sick and couldn't have, but he would have had to overrule a doctor, and a player has a right to say, I'm sick, I can't play. And he got suspended for getting into it with the refs, which, who hasn't? So overall, I'm a fan of this hire. I think it's a good one for us. If we can get that Portland Thorns winning 6 trophy streak here in Angel City, I'll be a happy Angel City fan.
I mean, I think you'd be a happy Angel City fan with 1 at this point rather than 6. 6 is great, but let's get to the playoffs first.
Fair point.
Yeah. And I think he's a great hire, and I think we had talked about it last week with them not getting the players because they don't have a coach. I think him coming in, you're going to start getting the players to come in because of he's in charge. And I think it's a great hire like you do, Nina, for Angel City.
All right. With that being the case, Nina, we're going to let you hang out for a little bit at home, and then we're going to bring you back for another segment. That's going to help us transition on over to something my man Tim knows a bit about. I don't call him the Mountie of Orange County because it just rhymes. I call him that because, number one, he lives there, and he is the best resource that I know for Orange County. So, Tim, in your orange shirt, take it away, Orange County.
Yeah, thanks, Philly. I appreciate it. Yeah, Orange County is still looking to add a few players. The talk out of Orange County is that there will be some more signings coming up. Just hang tight. They've got their core coming in, coming back, and that's going to be great with the guys up front and a couple of midfielders and most of their defenders. The reason why you haven't been hearing about this is because they have 16, 17 guys under contract. This was not the case a year ago. They only had about 8 or 9 guys under contract at this time a year ago. Now they've got a core group of guys, so they don't need to make a whole lot of signings. However, some of the things that are coming out of Orange County is their open tryouts. We mentioned this last weekend, but they've got an open tryout so you can come out, kind of like what the Empire Strykers have done. You have an open tryout, come out, try and make the team. And every year for the past 13 years in the multiple iterations of the Orange County Soccer Club, somebody, one at least from every open tryout, has been offered a chance to come out to training camp. And on more than one occasion, one of these guys that have been offered this training camp spot have made the team onto a full-time contract. So if you think you've got the chops to chop it up with Bryce Jamison and Thomas Among and Ethan Zubak, get out to Orange County this weekend. It's on the 19th. You can, Philly's getting out his cleats. He thinks he still can play. So, Philly, get on out there. I know you can play. I know you can chop it up with some of these boys, but get out there. You do have to fill out a waiver form on the orangecountysoccer.com website, so get after that. And then just this past couple of days, they have released their preseason schedule, and this is going to be fun. We were just talking about the Portland Thorns, but MLS side, Portland Timbers, come to town on the 25th of January for a preseason match at USL at the Championship Stadium down in Irvine. The time and the tickets haven't been released yet, but come on out. That's going to be a fun one. UCI is going to come out on February 1st, and then another preseason matchup that'll be fun to be part of is the rivals from Sacramento. Sacramento Republic FC come down on February 5th. So it'll be a little chilly. Wear your gear. And while we're talking about that, you didn't get what you wanted for Christmas and you need some Orange County soccer gear. They're still on their website right now until Friday, until tomorrow. They still have multiple items that are half off. So go over to orangecountysoccerclub.com, orangecountysoccer.com rather. Get your gear. And as, not Justin Stinson's brother, but as Barney Stinson would say, suit up. And with that, we've got Orange County Soccer. Philly's got his cleats out. He wants to play. Philly, are you going to sign the waiver for him and get out there?
Brand new pair of Predators. I haven't even broken them in yet. So, yeah, maybe I can make Orange County. And let's put it this way. If I make the team, they're not going to win.
I would agree with that, Philly, because you're a little bit slower than Bryce, and Bryce needs somebody to get the ball to.
You're far too nice by just saying a little.
Yeah, and Orange County, again, get on out to the things. They've still got season tickets on sale. They actually have 2-3 sections are sold out completely now. So when you get on there, you can still get a couple of sideline seats, which are super fun to watch the game from. But get out there, support the Orange County Soccer Club, and you can get tickets for super cheap if you're out in the supporter section. It's a great place to watch a game, and it's intimate. It's only about 5,000 seats, 5,500 seats. So really, really a good place to go see super high-quality professional soccer here in Orange County.
And with that, guess what, Tim?
What?
We get to bring back Nina freaking Kiefer. Look at how happy she is. I've never seen her smile like this in the longest of times. She usually just talks all kinds of trash. Nina, my sister.
Well, that's because I was already prepared to come and talk trash. You can't run. You can't run.
It's true. I tore my hamstring running to first base playing kickball a couple of years ago.
Though I will give
Why you gotta bring that up, Nina? Why? What do I?
All I said was you can't run. You took it there. Though I do give you credit for attempting to get back into running. But, let's give lots and lots of credit over to our strike force. Let's get into them because that's who we're here to celebrate. In the first place for our strike force, Justin Stinson, our interviewee from today for his midfield performance on 113. So he had 3 goals and 2 assists in that match. Absolutely fantastic. And then Alan Perez in second place for his game on the 11th. He had 3 assists as the defender. And then in third place, I had to fight for this one. Abdul Mansoure forward for his efforts on the 13th. 2 goals, 1 assist, and then our super sub, Marco Fabian. So let's break it down. What do you guys think? So I argued for Abdul Mansoure over Marco Fabian. Let me hear it. Let me have it.
Well, the first thing I want to address is we're calling it strike force because normally it is the best 11 or elite 6. But in case you have fallen asleep for the last month, and in this case you're far more successful than I have been because I feel like I haven't slept in months. It's only the Empire Strykers that are in town. So we're doing it in this manner. Why are there only Empire Strykers player there? Because that's the only team that we cover that's playing. Abdul Mansoure, Nina, scored a Self-Wallace scorer. That alone would have earned his respect and my nod for him being on this list. Marco Fabian is Marco Fabian, but Abdul Mansoure had himself a brace in the last game. Abdul Mansoure is having his best season in indoor soccer. I do think he deserves this.
Yeah, I do too, Nina. So I fought there with you. So putting Abdul on the Strike Force top 3, not a problem in my book.
Absolutely. And then running up the list, we talked about Alan Perez previously and Justin Stinson. But what I really like about this strike force today is we've got all the positions represented. It's been a while since we've hit all 3. We've got a midfielder, a defender, and a forward. And what that signals to me is that this team is clicking on every level and that we are getting so strong across the board and across all of our depth that we don't need, that we're all doing well.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. We've had Brian Orozco on here a couple of times, but what's great to see is that they're scoring goals, and that's why they're at the top of this thing. Justin Stinson with the Hattie and a couple of helpers, fantastic game. Alan and Abdul and Marco, these guys are all putting the biscuit in the basket, and that makes a far different game to watch than what we were watching a year ago. And I think it's a way more fun style. It's super great to see them at the stadium. And I think it's just, the offense is clicking, like you said. It's great.
If there's anybody who I'd have considered throwing in there, it would have been Ciro Oliveira. He did have 1 goal and 1 assist in the last outing against St. Louis. So I just wanted to make sure he was recognized. Great performance. He's shown us some really fancy footwork. So I think the big things are coming from Ciro.
But that's our strike force. Let's wrap it, boys.
Absolutely. Folks, before we let you go, make sure you subscribe where you can. That would be YouTube. That could be Spotify. That could be Apple Podcasts. It could be several other places. I know Stitcher is another one that we aggregate to. Make sure you tell your mom, tell your dad, tell everybody about Soccer in 60. Let's grow this thing together. We've got plenty of stuff to continue to talk about. MLS is just around the corner. We have great interviews, so make sure you spread the word about Soccer in 60.
Yeah, I dig it. Absolutely, guys. Philly, Nina, it's been a great show. Justin, thanks again for coming by. Check us out on SoundCloud, like Philly said. This has been Soccer in 60.